Sometimes in life there are things that are just so good that people widely love them. They're just widely adopted all over the place. We're talking about things like Pepsi or Coke, for example, versus the good old RC Cola, or Dr. Pepper instead of, the generic Dr. Thunder. Anyways, the same can be said when it comes to building pickup trucks. Take a look around at some of the higher horsepower builds, for example, and you're likely to find only a few common platforms. Perhaps one of the most popular there, though, however, is the 6.7-liter Cummins turbo diesel. Why are they so popular, though? Why do people choose this one over some of the other trucks in the market? And maybe better yet, what can you expect if you wanted to build one for yourself? I'm Dustin Custom Offsets. You guys can find me on the old Instagram at dusty.co. And today we're having a nice little chat about building your truck and asking the ultimatum, just like an overbearing father on your first date, to find out, so you want to build a 6.7 Cummins. Let's get it. Now, before we dive into this one, we should probably set a baseline here for exactly what we're talking about. Introduced in 2007, the common rail injection Cummins 6.7-liter turbo diesel engine would produce 350 horsepower and right around 650 foot-pounds of torque. This would be the only engine option until 2011, when Cummins and Dodge would release their HO, or high output variant of the engine, which made 350 horsepower and 800 feet-pounds of torque. And from what the word on the street is, they would also drink quite a bit more fuel to do so. While not bolstering specs by today's standards, at the time, these numbers were quite respectable, and unlike Ford, they didn't have major head gasket issues or bottom end failures like the 6-liter or the 6.4 Power Strokes did. Side note, we just did an episode of So You Want a 6.0 and a 6.4. You guys can check them out by going to the link right here. The early 2000s really was a wild time in the diesel world, but then again, this was really a wild time for everyone. This was the same time that recording your favorite song as your ringtone off the radio was trendy, and the iPod Nano was first introduced. Do you guys remember that, by the way? The tiny little square with like the massive play button on the top of it, like Biggs probably doesn't even know what that is because he would have been like 4 when it came out. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty of today's topic, shall we? Hypothetically speaking here, let's say that you just bought a 6.7 Cummins and, you want to give her a little more pep in her step, right? A little more spoolie boy when you lay on the throttle. I get it. Where would you start, and, what order would you want to install those mods if you're not going to do them all at the same time? Of course, one note here is that depending on who you ask, you're going to get different answers. Knowing this, though, this video is only going to recommend mods in an order that would allow you to do so, to not absolutely detonate your engine and send piston 4 to the moon, for example. Step 1, or stage 1, if that's what you're into, if you're like a WRX kid or something, is gonna be getting your engine breathing better than stock. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard it before, as intake systems have been around for a long time on the market, but colder air is colder, first of all, which means it's more dense and it's overall just better for making power. And of course, power is the name of the game here. First step we're gonna do to a Cummins is ditch that restrictive factory air box and size it up with a nice sealed cold air intake system from companies like Banks or S&B, both of which are available at the Custom Offsets website, by the way. We carry intakes and exhausts and tuners and all sorts of stuff. In the same breath, do you get it? We're talking about your engine breathing, breath? No?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Hey, funny guy! I got a joke for you! What smells rotten and puts people to sleep? Your act!
Once you've got your intake figured out, you're going to want to get those exhaust gases out of the engine in a way as quickly and efficiently as possible. When it comes to diesel exhaust, there are really only 2 options, right? You can get a 4-inch exhaust or you can get a 5-inch exhaust. And now, despite what the internet will tell you, the biggest difference that you're gonna find between these exhausts is sound, really. I mean, a 4-inch is gonna be a little bit more refined, a 5-inch is gonna be a little bit more throaty. Additionally, there are some horsepower limitations to a 4-inch exhaust system, but you really gotta be putting down some serious ponies for this to even be an issue. We're talking, truthfully anything north of 500, and that's where you start to see some issues. Otherwise, below 500, a 4-inch exhaust is gonna be fine, though a 5-inch does sound pretty damn throaty, and it sounds great if you ask me. This is where the guys can insert a clip of a 5-inch exhaust. And now that we've got colder, more dense air flowing into the engine, and your exhaust sounds bitchin' and it's hauling the mail, getting all of those exhaust gases out of the engine and away from it, you're gonna wanna tune your truck to ensure that you can actually see some horsepower gains from all the parts that you just spent all your hard-earned money on. For many applications, an off-the-shelf plug-in flash tuner is gonna do exactly what you need here in terms of supporting you. Companies like Bully Dog, Edge, and SCT all make plug-in, flash-ready tuners that are gonna help you get more horsepower and torque out of your engine without breaking the bank. It's pretty simple. Just plug it in, press the button, it downloads the tune, you're good to go. It's that easy. It's like the easy button, but for power, just easy, easy, easy. If you guys are looking to push this build even further, a custom tune for your truck may be a great option for you here, as it's truly gonna allow you to dial in the tune for the mods that you have, the environment you're in, and ultimately make you the most power for your setup. Another quick call out here is that while it's technically not a requirement, by this point we do recommend a good set of gauges for your truck, right? Good gauges are gonna help you keep an eye on all the essential functions of your truck and make sure that you're not, doing something you shouldn't, or maybe pushing something past the limits, of what it's supposed to do and leaving you stranded. Ask Jared with his dually. A trans temp gauge probably would have saved him all of the headaches of leaving his truck in Georgia, on the way to Daytona, because he literally melted a trans. My personal preference here is gonna be the Banks iDash Data Monsters. Now, there's a lot of options when it comes to digital gauges, but I've got 2 of these Banks iDashes in my Duramax, and let me tell you, they absolutely rock. They're sleek, they're slim, they sit on the pillar just like a standard gauge pillar pod setup would, but they have all the flexibility of a plug-and-play gauge system. Plus, Banks has literally everything that you could need for these things. Temp sensors, pyrometers, speed sensors, it's all there. It's all available, and you can look at every parameter of your engine. Outside of these basic bolt-ons, though, there's a ton of parts available for your truck, depending how intense you want to go. We're talking things like ARP head studs, new valve springs, and push rods, which are all going to keep your engine happy and healthy should you decide that you want to throw even more power at it. While these little guys are, keeping things running smoothly in the old internals, things like a Banks Monster Ram intake is going to get you more flow into the engine. Additionally, at this stage in the game, it's a good idea to swap on an aftermarket lift pump from companies like Fast, for example. Now, not only are these lift pumps going to make sure that your stock fuel pump is getting the fuel it needs and not starving itself, but it's also going to keep your diesel fuel clean and filtered, as well as remove any water that may have found its way into your diesel fuel. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but water in diesel fuel is very big bad. It does bad things. You don't want that. At the end of the day, this is going to keep your engine happy, it's going to keep it healthy, and it's going to keep it making all of the high horsepower goodness that you guys desire. Do you guys have a Cummins build? If so, what are the details? If not, and you want one, what do you want to build it to? Let us know down in the comment section below, and as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. With that, I'm Dustin with Custom Outfits. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Okay, we go home.